Okay, so this is part 2 of this video. I'm moving all those jars that way. And I put one big ass box back there. And one smaller box with the salmon or something, whatever's in there. I don't know. It's on the box. And then I took those 12 jams, 6 strawberry, and 6 Concord grape jelly. I put them in there. So, because the juice been holding up good all these years, that will do fine. Where the other ones are in my bedroom where it's even colder. But I'm stewing mad, people, over these freaking cans. Like, you don't know how choked I personally am. I'm sure you're choked. Unless, of course, you just buy what you need. Go to the grocery store, buy what you need. And if you want to make clam chowder, you just buy 1 can. Until the next time you want to make clam chowder. I'm just using that as an example. Anyway, I got some cans here. Different cans, not tuna cans. Different cans of these, which I will keep out close by and use them. Sometimes my son comes up and asks me if I have these things, and I say I do, but I don't know where they are. Well, the what is it called? The juice was on these, right? They're in between on tuna, or it looks like I put them on these. So I will make a row of these. So, but the reason I'm bringing it up, though, is it's very hard to squeeze it. It's like pretty damn solid. Like, it's really hard, right? This is what I mean, people. And I'm like, okay, well, what can you do to solve this problem? Outside of be very limited to what you buy and try and use it up within 4 months, right? Before the can starts buckling, if not that week, people. Because you bring them home, you put them on the floor, they're in a bag, you know, you get busy, you come back 3 days, 4 days later to put them away, and like a third of them have already buckled. Like, I swear, I was so freaked out when that first started happening to me. I'm like, Andre, stop stepping on the cans. It's not the can. Nobody's stepping on no freaking cans. This is the cans doing it themselves. This is an old can of... Do they even have this brand anymore? What's the brand? I don't know. Cortina. Anyway... 19 fluid ounces, 540 mils. I can't see the date on it. Right? But, now that I've done my run with cans, I don't know, people. The only thing I can think of are 2 things. That's why I turned the camera back on. You know, watching videos, right? A long time ago, a couple, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 months ago, or whatever it was. And there was videos of, like, farmers, right? And I guess I was watching a particular channel where it was on a farm, and they went to another farm, and they were interviewing farmers, talking about what was going on in 2021, 2022, maybe even longer than 8 months ago. Anyway, the warning of the farmer, because, you know, the person that was interviewing the farmer said, well, what would you advise people to do in light of, like, you know, diesel is more expensive, it's harder to get fertilizer, you know, some areas are facing drought, blah, 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 food chain disruption, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, that farmer just basically said, go out and buy yourself a whole bunch of freaking canning jars. He didn't say go out and buy a whole bunch of fucking cans. He said canning jars. And I'm like, okay, I remember that video. I remember that advice. And I always took it to heart because, you know, I love my jars, right? And, you know, I believed in his words. I believed in his wisdom. I thought he had foresight, being that he was out in the fields and, you know, involved with the politics around food and, you know, and, right? So no regrets, right? Well, now that I'm sitting here on the floor, going through this shit, bought enough cans to know what I'm talking about here, and in light of what I've just went through again, because it's not the first time I've talked about this, I mean, I don't expect some of this stuff to last 10 years, people. I just don't. Like, you pay... I bought these... I bought this corned beef on sale. I bought a lot of it, people, because I didn't want to can beef in a jar, because I've already got so much, right? And I just wanted to keep it simple and easy peasy. You know what I'm saying? And it was on sale for like $4.99 a can for those round ones. They can go up as $9 a can. They're normally at least $5.99, $7.99, $8.99, depending on where you're shopping. I got them at $5 a can. And I was buying in multiples. And because the can came in appearing like it was a very strong, sturdy can, I felt safe buying more. So I stocked up. I've given a whole bunch to Marcane, and he loves it. Andre loves it, right? So, you know, no regrets. Until I'm now backtracking, going where I put them to move them someplace else because I'm doing this and or whatever, and I'm finding out they're fucking buckling. But the thing is, I don't need to buy any more corned beef, and after this, I'm not buying no more corned beef. If I do any kind of beef, I'm canning it in a jar. I don't care what anybody says. Like, fuck off. I'm not going to spend hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars on canned corned beef or any other canned goods outside of maybe fruit, because you kind of know you have to recan it if you want it for any length of time. I just don't have time for it yet, right? And I'm not sweating it right now. But when you do the vegetables, beans will leach out like a tomato. I remember I had a problem one time with one can of beans. So beans are fickle. More reason to can it in a freaking jar. I have canned beans in a jar in my room that have been there for freaking years. And here's another thing. Lots and lots of people throughout the internet are starting to talk about how things aren't growing like they used to be. I mentioned that back in my videos a few years back, okay? My landlady even pointed it out to me that things weren't growing like they used to for her, all right? It's a hit and miss. Some vegetables will do well, other vegetables not so much, depending on what's in the fucking gravity. Who knows? But it's becoming more and more of an issue for a lot of people. Kind of like these rotten, terrible cans that are basically useless for any length of time. And I'm like, well, holy shit. I don't remember what I paid for this per can, but if I bought 20 cans thinking that I was, you know, helping my family, because I sure in the hell didn't buy it all for me, right? Helping my family over the next few years so that, you know, we can live, right? Cut back on expenses so that we can live. I mean, you can hear I'm mad, right? And I'm like finding out a few months, not even a year later, but a few months later, this thing is recording, right? That the cans are compromised and they're putting the food at risk, people. They're putting the food at risk because, you know, it's just a matter of time before the metal is so weak. The metal is so weak. It just has to bend, come to a sharp point, bend back out, because that seems to be what it's doing. Bending here, bending there. It's buckling everywhere, right? To where, if you know how you take a metal spoon, you heat it up, you bend it, heat, you know, right? It won't, or anything, wire, whatever. You just go 1, 2, 3, and it's done. You don't even need to use wire cutters. If you just do this enough times, chances are it will, right? Well, it's the same stupid crap with this. Right? It only takes a little teeny weeny pinprick to let the air into the can. And once the air is in the can, the food becomes contaminated. The longer it sits there, yeah, oxidization will turn it black and you'll notice it. But what if I open this can thinking, oh, it's a can from a manufactured company, and therefore I can open it up and eat straight out of the can like I did with that tuna, right? But the thing is, the can is a little puckered down here and a little puckered over there, but it doesn't look like anything leaked out. But let's just say it had a little puncture because of the puckering or whatever, and it's only been like that for a month. It takes a whole lot longer than a month to turn the shit inside black before it will start to bulge. In other words, you know, you have a higher probability, you really do, people, of coming into contact with pathogens that could kill you. And you wouldn't even freaking notice it because it only requires a little while for the food to start to spoil, and you wouldn't even freaking notice it because you wouldn't know when the puncture occurred and the air got in there to contaminate the freaking food. It'd have to sit for a while before you'd notice it. And that's what makes these cans dangerous, in my opinion. This is not a dangerous can. This is solid, okay? I could step on this with my foot, with my work outside boots on, and the bloody thing would just explode and shit would go flying. That's how weak this can is. So I'm like, okay, well, clearly you have a problem here. You can't afford to lose your food source, your food security, right? It's enough you're taking fucking chances with the corned beef, and I found that the cloverleaf salmon cans, the small ones, I hope, are still okay compared to what they made in 2018, 2014, because you know I got salmon in those cans from 2014 still kicking around, and they'll be just as good as the tuna was. The taller ones, no, they're starting to buckle too, the brand new ones, because I did the taller ones and I did the small ones because I'm, you know, stocking up, right? Because, right, rent comes first, pay bills, and then, I don't know, get to the next destination. And if I don't get there, well, at least my kids got fucking food and they'll be able to eat, because all their money will be going to rent as they're hanging off the freaking mountain. Just saying. All right. And I'm like, okay, well, this is a dilemma. And, you know, this farmer, he whispering in my ear, well, you got jars, you know what to do. There was a reason why I told you that on that video in terms of talking to the public, right? He warned us. He warned his people. Not just me, but he warned whoever was watching that video. You need jars. You have to recan some of this stuff. Depending on what it is, and how long you plan on storing it. Would I go out of my way to recan corned beef in those cans? I have it there. I don't see one here. No. Because the purpose of buying it like that was so that I didn't have to can beef. Because that's an expensive ticket item that if it's not stored in a really cool place where the grease doesn't crawl, right? This is chicken soup. Oh, this chicken soup, you don't even know. This is good. It's so good. What do you call it? I got a jar up here that I pulled out from in here. Since we're talking about this stuff, I might as well bring this to your attention too. Okay? But like the beef, right? You know, if you can, we'll just say 24 cans, 24 jars. Like the corned beef. Well, one day I'll get into when I'm done, I'll pull out that corned beef that I canned in, when was it? 2014? It was 10 years old. 2013? Something like that. It was corned beef in a jar. I had a couple of them pop along the way because they were under my bed. Shit was falling on it because, you know, just I put stuff on. It was just metal bed frame. And then I put whatever and, you know, just whatever. And some of the lids rusted and, you know, ate through the can and it was no good, right? But some of them survived after all this time. And, you know, I've got other jars with beef and chicken and blah, blah, blah. But every now and then, they will pop. Just every now and then. The colder, the better. The more you can prevent the grease from crawling, the better off it is, right? All right. So, anyway. Oh, and guess what that stupid cat did? Bella, my new cat. She's my cat now. Kind of like a therapy cat, because sometimes she'll cuddle with me. Makes me kind of feel good. Anyway, that little bitch, she jumped up on the counter and started eating that tuna. I just gave it to her. It's a little salty, but whatever. It's just salt. It won't kill her. There's no spices in it. If there was spices in it, I wouldn't do it. All right. So anyway, you know, I'm not trying to spend money. I'm not. I already have a lot of beef. I don't like it when a jar pops. But if one or two jars out of two... Andre, shut up! Oh, I listened to this crap all day. I took away the laptop from him. I fucking grounded to him. That laptop is only supposed to be to make music, and he's like a little king. You know, he got his... He make music. No, more like he listens to... He has the laptop on, playing music or whatever he's doing. He's doing this, and he got the TV going with whatever he's doing. Oh, it drives me nuts. So I took away the TV, and I took away the laptop. And I just left him. Well, you just want me to be like this? And I said, yeah, like the good old days, Andre. And he just, yeah. Anyway. And I'm like, okay, you know, we did the beef there for what, $260. I did the video. That was what, 2 months ago, topped off. But when I seen this corned beef on sale, and like with what's going on in the economy, and you know what people are talking about, you know, I just thought the investment. Now I did buy the round cans of the corned beef, and I bought those funny looking cans. So I have both, right? And I spent several hundreds of dollars on this shit, because I ain't buying just for me, okay? And but you know, well, in one way I'm glad I did, because I've got the beef. I don't have to worry about it. However, when they're packed in a box, tucked off to the corner like that, and I've got more than one box like that tucked off to the corner, I don't know what I'm going to find in 3 or 4 years from now. I don't know. Because they'll be buckling in the fucking box when they should be like this, solid as a rock. So the next time I do beef, I'm canning it in jars, people. That's it. So be very, very careful what you buy. Sometime it might be just better to buy it fresh and can it yourself and lose a jar or two along the way. Andre, I'm talking! You're way over there! I'm down on the floor, for crying out loud! I lost my train of thought. I'm so mad. You pay good money for this shit. So, you know, at the rate I'm going, I don't know how well these things are going to hold up for 5 years, buckling within the first 6 months. Within the first week to 6 months, depending on the product. And I don't know, can? Because they all seem to be doing it these days, people. So the farmer said, for what's coming, whatever it is, what's coming, you better get into your jars and start canning one way or another. Yeah, and if you have to recan, that's the reason I put this video back on, okay? If you, and see, this is so old that the label is coming off. I don't even know what the hell it is. I better, oh my lord. Broth. It's some kind of broth. Look, it rubbed off. Can barely read it. I don't know. I can't see. I see broth though. It looks like broth. You can see a little bit of oil, grease up on top. Probably turkey broth. Kind of looks like the turkey broth. That's just for a small little crock pot for something small, right? Or put it into rice or something. It was probably very good. That's why I did that. But yeah, before you get too busy to invest into these cans, you might want to think of a backup where, oh my lord, ooh, that's creepy. I'm not creepy, people. I'm just pissed off. I'm thinking. I'm fucking thinking here. Not that I'm trying to create myself more work, because I am definitely not trying to do that. But before I'd go off and buy, and I'm telling you this now, before I'd go off and buy another 10 to 20 more cans of clams in this freaking can, I'd make sure I'd have the jars ready to go, that when they get home, open them up, put them into the jar, and can it for 90 minutes or 100 minutes. It's fish, so you're looking at 100 minutes. But at least you have a better chance of being able to have it on hand for 10 years versus 2 years, maybe 1 year, who knows. It could be less, it could be more. It's nothing that you can depend on, I can tell you that right now. And that's why that farmer said, for what's coming, whatever the hell it is that he knew, what he figured was coming, because he was out in the fields, right? Walking the talk, invest in jars. And decide, because this is already buckling in here. Why? Stupid. So some things you might have to just bite the bullet and recant it for your own peace of mind. Yeah. And even if you lose a jar or two along the way over a period of 10 freaking years, well, at least you'll have 90%, 95% of the jar still remaining. Where in this situation with these cans, I don't know, people, 50-50, 40, maybe I might have, 60 will be garbage. Who knows? Because it seems like a setup to me. This is more than just the company trying to save money on metal, okay? This is like sabotaging your pantry. This is what this is like. And I'm glad I don't have to go off and buy a whole bunch of freaking cans, because now I'm stuck with a whole bunch of inferior cans. So, you know, it's not like I have to make the investment, right? I just have to figure out what I want to recan if I want to keep it around for any length of time, being that it's in an inferior can and it's not dependable, and I don't want to get poisoned over something that buckles in the middle of the night, and I come along opening it thinking it's fucking safe, that it's only been there for 8 months, not realizing that as it buckled, it buckled at the seam. It buckled at the seam where the air got in, and it's been sitting like that for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, to which, you know, you wouldn't really notice it if it was just a slow leak. If it was just a slow leak, you might not notice it. And don't forget, I don't see very well. But would the companies be liable or take any response? No, hell fuck no. They won't take no responsibility if you got sick because of something stupid like that. So yeah, now that I know, before I go off and buy more cans, I should be thinking, well, can I recan it and repurpose it? And if that's the case, where would I put my jars if I really wanted it? But I don't need it right now, so I'm not too worried about it. I learned something. That's what happened here. I freaking learned something, and I feel so bad for my kids, people. You don't even know. I feel so bad for my grandkids, because if this is what they got to look forward to, is shitty fucking cans. No, I'll tell you what they're doing. They're trying to do. I know exactly what they're trying to do. These companies, they're trying to bring in those little Mylar containers, and that's another thing. You know, I've been buying this Minute Maid Mylar container stuff, right? Which is good. The juice is good. However, the container itself, no. Because they have this turn thing. Andre opens it up, and the whole bloody pour snout comes off. Right? You know, and I'm like, well, it just happened now? He goes, yeah. I said, okay, it's fine right now. But if you ever find one like that, don't drink it, because it will be no good. So they're not even making those things good anymore, people. Why? Why? But you wouldn't want to buy a whole bunch of those juice things in those little Mylar cartons with the plastic on the outside. This stuff, this kind of carton. Okay, it's not going to hold up to the test of time. You have to buy jars, and you have to learn how to, even if you buy the juice, pour it into the jar and recan it. And because it's juice, you can pasteurize it at 190 for a half an hour, 20 minutes, a half an hour. And that's all you need, so you're not destroying anything really at 190, right? Because what 190 does is if there's any kind of pathogen in there, like a listeria, E. coli, those kind of things, right? Those kind of pathogens, bacterias and that, right? It only needs 3 minutes to kill that shit. So you do it at 190, keep it there, it will do the job, and you're good to go. And because botulism doesn't grow in this kind of stuff because of the sugars and shit, and especially if you add a little lemon or something, depending on what you're doing, you're fine. But yeah, I don't know. You better, I don't know. I know that there are people out there that just buy as they go, right? Basically, they have a few cases of soup and some Mr. Noodles, and, you know, that's good. That's because they just under the impression that there's always going to be a grocery store where they can go in and purchase what they want, even though they don't like paying more and more and more and more and more. But they feel that will always be there, where I'm the opposite. I don't know if I will see it, because, you know, I just don't, in terms of alive, I don't know if I will personally see it. But I do believe, I don't want to say soup kitchens, but I do believe that there's going to be a form of rationing, especially for those below a certain income, the ones hanging on the mountain, and there's a lot of us hanging on the mountain, people. You know, I mean, like, do they give the rich people ration cards? I don't know, but I just feel that just with what the companies are doing with these freaking cans, and you know, and just the cost of food, and the stories that we hear, and the advice that we get from farmers, go buy jars, that's your best investment. that's that's what the interviewer asked the fella. He said, out of everything that you know, been through, whatever, he said, what is your best advice that you can give to people? He said, my best advice that I can give to people is buy jars. Invest in home canning jars. I just showed you why. I just showed you, well, with my last video. Okay, so we're going to end it there. Outside of, since we're on the subject of jars, oh, what's this? This is that blackberry. Look at that, nice and rich. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's blackberry. That's fading away too. No, this is raspberry juice. Oh, raspberry juice. This one's raspberry juice. This would be good on snow cones. Blackberry juice would be good on snow cones. Raspberry juice would be good on snow cones. I got this in this bottle. I don't know why I keep it, because I don't ever want to use it. Maybe as a reminder. I bought this years and years and years and years. And this is, I'm showing you another reason why you want to avoid plastic, okay? The more you can avoid plastic, the better off you will be. Trust me. This is, speaking of raspberry, this is a raspberry jelly belly for snow cones. Do you see what happened here? It used to be round, but not anymore. It went square. And it's cracking. That's how old it is. I've had it for years and years and years and years. But before I'd use this, I'd use this. But you see, I'm a penny pincher when it comes to this kind of stuff. I don't like to throw away things that are still good. But I'm kind of afraid to taste it, so technically I should just get rid of it, right? It's been sitting there, I keep looking at it, I'm like, are you ever going to use that? No, because, you know, you can make your own juice and put that on snow cones for the kids. I knew I had the blackberry juice, and that would be really good for snow cones. I didn't know I had raspberry, but obviously I do. That would be good for snow cones. You could put apple juice on snow cones. Right, Rick, you could squeeze lemon with some sugar on it for snow cones, for crying out loud, right? I got mango for snow cones, so I don't need that, because that I've had around for, see, something like that after X amount of years, no. But, you know, in 5 years from now, when I need that corned beef, because I ate the corned beef over there, and I ate the corned beef over there, and now I want that corned beef. I don't know what I'm going to find in there, people. I really, really don't. And that's very, very disappointing. So more reason to pay attention to what you're buying. And if need be, recant it if you don't feel it's going to hold up for any length of time, in terms of, for the amount of clams that I have in this house, and for the amount of clam chowder that I eat, which is never, but I'm introducing it into the diet soon, right? I shouldn't have to buy clams for a couple, 2-3 years if I was to make clam chowder even every second week. I shouldn't. But will these cans last 3 years, 4 years, 5 years? No, I don't think so. Oh yeah. Okay, so here, let's finish it on this, and then I'll just pick up with this maybe tomorrow or something. Okay, where's that other jar? Okay. Now this jar, I don't know, because I don't know everything. This jar here, do you see what it is? It came from in here, which is not the optimal place to put meat. This is obviously a chicken or a turkey that has grease. And you can see how the grease is crawling because it's not in a colder environment. If it was cooler, you know what grease does. When it's cooler, it hardens. Therefore, it doesn't crawl. All right. Now, when I made this, this was in 2015. It says chicken thigh, April of 2015. So, we can say this is about 9 years old. After 9 years, if you look at it, from what I can tell and from my experience, because I don't see as well, it's looking pretty damn good. Okay, now, I had another jar like this in there. I pulled it out, and because in that day, I was using older lids, right? You know, I was using like miscellaneous older lids in combination with other lids. Made different. You can see it's made different than compared to what a ball lid is. This is not a ball. This is a Kerr. But they were brand new, so I used them. Right? But with it sitting there for so long, what I noticed on the other jar, in here, right? It's like the rubber has decomposed on the outside. I can feel it. Now, if this leaked, like if the lid popped, okay, if the lid popped, right? First of all, chances are you'd notice it here. But sometimes something will pop and reseal itself. But if that was the case, air would get in and this would start to look bad over a long time of sitting. And this has been there since 2014. Okay? I'm just telling you the signs. All right? Also, too, if it popped or if the seal was no good, really, all you'd... Like, I don't want it to drop on the floor here, right? But you see, I'm going to put this on my hand like this, okay? I got to gather up my eye. And I'm going to grab the lid. And I'm going to take the weight of the jar. It's off my hand, right? You can see that. Okay? And if it was really compromised, it would come off. Right? But because these old lids had more rubber around them than what they have today, right? I just want to rinse off my hand. What do you call it? Let me just rinse off my hand because it's kind of sticky. Because these are older lids that had thicker rubber on them, right? Because they were already, like, they were just old from, like, maybe, I don't know, 1980, 1990, but they had never been used, right? And I was counting up a storm. Uncle John was with me. They sealed. They've been kicking around all these years. I had them underneath in there. And then go through, check, right? And I noticed and I felt it, and I'm like, ugh, something wrong. Because it's on the outside. It must have popped. So the thumb of the rule, the thumb of rule, the rule of thumb, right? If you have a contaminated jar, or you think you have a contaminated jar of a low acid food, 2 pots boiling with water, one for the jar and the lid, after you empty the contents into the other boiling pot of water. You boil each for 10 minutes so that if there is any botulism, you kill it, and then you take out the content of whatever you boiled, the beans or whatever, if that was the case, in a jar, right? Or meat or whatever, you put it in a bag and you throw it out, and then you wash your jars. And in this way you're not cross-contaminating with botulism, right? It's just being polite, right? So I did that. But when I opened the jar, everything smelled fine. It smelled like chicken. It cooked like chicken. It looked like chicken. But I just said, to hell with it. If it's good, the birds will find it, and I let it go. Anyway, I went in there a couple, 2-3 weeks ago, whatever, right? Looking for corn. I went in there looking for corn. I couldn't find any corn because I put it someplace else and I forgot where it is. So that's why I ordered more corn. So anyway, right? And I'm like, okay, this one I'm not going to be so quick to throw out. Nope. But I just wanted to point it out to you since we're talking about jars, right? Because most people will be like, ew, it's leaking out. But it's not that it's leaking out, people. The seal is still there because it pops when you open it. What it is it's the rubber oxidizing in the air over a long, long period of time. Like the rubber is, right? Because if it was spoiled, you'd see it. By this time, after all these years, trust me, it wouldn't look like this. And it sure in the hell wouldn't smell like chicken when it's cooking up. So just keep that in mind. So I may just cook it up, boil it for 10 minutes. If it smells okay, right, looking kind of good, right, boil it for the 10 minutes. I'll feed a little bit to the cat, and if the cat likes it, then it's good. Will I eat it? Well, I'm not starving, but I might, in that situation, just make cat food with it before I chuck it out and give it to the birds, because the seal is there. It's just, it's more rubber. And over a long time, what happens to rubber. And because it's cold, and the outside collects moisture when it's someplace dark, cool in the back, low to the ground, the jar itself will attract moisture, so that moisture is settling on the outside of the rim. This is where, if you notice, there's no rust on it. If there was rust on it, oh my God, this would be useless by now. But because I had it in a spot where it didn't, nothing made the rust, it's good. People don't know this kind of stuff. And just with the way the world is going right now, people are already starting to starve. I don't think anyone that watches my channel is starving, but maybe, I don't know, not that they're starving, but maybe they might come across somebody that's starving that has a bunch of home canned goods from grandma, and they're afraid to eat it, and they could be like, oh, no, I watched Judy's channel back in the day when she was running around doing videos on home canning, and apparently some of this stuff can last 20 years in a jar, and you can still eat it, things can last in a can for 10, 15 years, you can still eat it, because I seen her do it, and then, a week later she was doing another video. Now, if I do die between now and a week from now, it would only because of that green bean can that I was touching when I was taking all the cans out of the closet down the hall, right? Looking for boxes to put in here, not seeing that it would, you know, it had compromised. And then after I was going to put everything back, I'm looking on the floor and I'm looking at the cans and I'm going through the cans. And I noticed one that was like this and I'm like, oh, I didn't see that before. Where did that come from? Like, would it just bulge? Like when I put it down, I didn't see it bulge, right? And then I went to pick it up and I looked at it and I'm like, ew, what the hell, right? In the meantime, I'm like, oh my God, I hope I didn't cross-contaminate, you know, right? Because I had to take it out first before I put it on the floor as I'm moving everything around, right? That's the one downside of not having very good eyesight. You don't catch things as fast. But I'm usually pretty good not to be putting my fingers in my mouth, right? So, you know, I don't think I cross-contaminated myself, because that can I'd be kind of concerned about, right? I mean, if there's going to be botulism, there's a high probability it could be in that can with it all leaching out, right? I'm just saying. But you don't open that up and boil it and then throw it out. You bag it up and you throw it out, okay? Never open up a can that's bulging or leaking. Just fucking bag it up and throw it out. That's what you do. But for home canned goods, oh yeah, you open it up, you boil it 10 minutes, kill off anything. Then when it's a low acid food, bag it up, then chuck it out. And boil your jar, your lid, everything. Then wash it and you're good to go. So be careful what you're buying, people, and you might want to think about what that farmer had to say about investing in some jars. Yeah. Yeah. And I've got enough of these clams to last me for a couple of years. Unless, of course, I decide I like clam chowder all of a sudden and I want clam chowder like 2 times a week or once a week or something like that, then they're going to go pretty fast, right? Which I don't think they would. But I'm like really, really leaning more towards, well, the next time I buy clams, oh, I got a case of jars to recan them. And if I'm going to do that with clams, the next question is, what am I going to do it with next as I'm buying canned goods? Because it might come to that. Yeah. And then my son will say, you told me you weren't going to can no more. And I'll be like, yeah, well, when you're buying cans like this that are puckering and make music, I'm not making that sound. That's the can. Do you hear it? Do you see what I mean? I'm not a very big woman. It wouldn't take much for me to put on my work boots that I run around in the yard on and go woof and bust that thing wide open. And that's a bad sign. So the next time I buy clams, I'm canning them. If these don't hold up over the year. Stupid shit. Real stupid shit. Real stupid shit. Okay. So I'll just show you my little stash of juice, and then I gotta get back up on it because I'm kind of busy. I'm behind on schedule now. But it's okay. These things need to be done. And once they're done, they hold their ground fairly good. Let's see. So basically what I've done is I got a big ass box back there full of salmon and corned beef behind those jars. And then on the bottom, I've got, I think, more corned beef and salmon. Yeah. With that box of jam on top. And then I've taken all my juices with the tunas so far, and I'm just putting them this way so that when I want to start using, because I do, right, I just pull them out. Easy to get to. They're all, versus being put along that way and then everything in front, and then I can't get to them. No, because you have to remember where I'm sitting here, this little spot where I sit here, where I am right now, it's my laundry room. Yeah, you know, garbage sits here and dishes pile up, and it's not like, you know, I got buckets here, flour and God knows whatever, and it's not like I got a lot of room to be pulling everything out to go get a jar of juice. But whatever. This cupboard has held up well over the years. Yeah, pretty impressed with it, actually, considering all things said. Anything else here I need to show you? I don't know. I just kind of made a big mess. I don't know. Oh yeah. Is this still working? We'll end it on this note. Fukushima radiation days, 2011. This is spice. What is it? Kunjan spice. Oh, 2012. They used to be back here. I pulled out a whole bunch. All my salts, I used to have like different salts. I pulled them all out. I'm moving them out. So, we got some spice. This girl is retarded. If you listen to the way she talks, she sounds retarded. But in the meantime, you know what she does? Is she doing it again? She got nothing else to say. She puts her little, so what is that? January 7th of 2024. All right. Where are we? Here we are. You see? That's her new content, a little TikTok. Right? Okay, so now it is January 7th of 2024. Oh, do you see that fridge over there? About a long time ago, okay, anyway. About 3 years ago or so, I had problems with it, and I had to have a fridge guy come in and fix it for me because all the air is coming up into the freezer, creating massive ice crystals, and now it's at the point where it's not, you know, it's not backdrafting the cold air into the fridge. So, needless to say, today, now that I've discovered this over the last day or two, because, you know, things inside the fridge now are not as cold as they should be. So, right? Because that's what happens eventually. So anyway, the first time it happened, you know, I let the line clear. Maybe it would ice out, either or. I had to get a repair guy to come in. I can't remember. I think it was like $300 or $400 that I paid for him to repair it. What he does is he goes up into the freezer part, pulls off the back, right? You don't even have to move the fridge. Thank God. And he does whatever, and okay. And he told me, he said, you know, you'd be better off to buy a brand new fridge. And I'm like, well, why? Because it's not like, you know, it's easy to move things around in this house, right? That's why I'm stuck with that couch in the living room, because it would just be too freaking difficult to pull it out to bring in another one. So I'm kind of stuck with that couch until I move, basically. Well, it's kind of like the same thing with the fridge. I'm not in the mood to be moving things to move the fridge to bring in another fridge, to find out that fridges nowadays only last about 6 years. Because he said, well, you'd be better off to get rid of this fridge before you'd fix it, because fridges in general only last about 6 years. And I'm like, well, since when? He said, well, that, that's just the sign of the time. That's the way they make things nowadays. No, that's okay. You just fix the fridge and I'll take my chances. Well, I got about 3 years and a bit, right? And I probably agitated it by putting too much shit because, whatever. But I've been wanting to clear it out anyway, people, because I have an ice cream maker machine here. I've got ice cream maker machines over there. I want to get into more ice cream making. And, okay, I want to freeze my blackberry juice and make my ice cubes. And, right, I need ice cubes for smoothies. And, all right, so it's not like it's some great loss here in terms of... Don't panic. We're going into Detour canning here. Thank God I have canning jars. Because there is a little bit of meat in there. Like there's liver in there. I found a piece of black cod. I've got... from 2017... Swiss chard, all nicely bagged up. That's enough for a salmon-sized jar, people. Okay, I'm just telling you. So I'm clearing out everything, whatever. It's a clean sweep. It's a new year. I'm not too worried about it, right? Black cod is very expensive. Very, very, very expensive. That's black cod, eh? So, I've got other ones downstairs, so maybe I'll just bring them out. Because fish you have to do for at least 100 minutes, right? Where that Swiss chard in a salmon-sized jar might be only 75 minutes or 40 minutes or whatever. I'd have to look it up, right? So, if I'm going to do fish, I might as well grab all the other old fish, black cod that I have downstairs in Auntie Chemay's freezer. Because I told Mark Kane I'd let him have that little freezer, right? Because he asking for more freezer space. So, it gives me an opportunity to start working on clearing out that freezer so that he can have that, right? So I'll probably end up doing black cod. I'm going into power canning here. That's what's happening. Liver for sure. Because I got a few packs of liver in there. And I know there's some pork in there. I don't know what else is in there. But anything that I can, I'm going to can it up the next day or two. As I'm clearing out the bottom fridge for the most part. And then I'll, at some point, I don't really have the money right now. I mean, I can come up with it, but, it depends. After I clear the line and let the line unthaw, I'm kind of hoping that I bought myself a bit of time. And when I turn the fridge back on, the bottom part will get cold. But if it doesn't, well, then that means I just have to borrow more money on one of my credit cards or whatever and be done with it. It is what it is. So even when you're thinking about trying to pay down your bills, this shit happens. So before you go off and throw out everything that's in the freezer, you might want to consider doing a little power can. Okay, right? That kale that's from 2017 has been frozen. It's perfectly fine. Once it's unthawed, put it into a nice little salmon jar. Those will fit really, really nice into a little salmon jar per pack. Looks like there's sugar in this jar, right? And that's good for one meal in terms of soup or whatever you're going to do. Now I'm supposed to be making... what is that called? Lasagna. So I'll probably still make the lasagna as I clear out everything. But that's what we're going to get into a detour canning session. And since I'm on that path, I might get into the other little freezers that I've got kicking around. Like Auntie Chemay's freezer. Right? The fridge downstairs in her room. Since I'm on this bandwagon, like I'll take out the whatever cod is in there for sure, so that at least I get 6 or 7 or 8 jars. That would be great. Canned black cod, right? Doesn't cost me anything. I already have the jars, have the fish. right? I'll put a tablespoon of olive oil in with it, although I think it's kind of like a fatty fish anyway, but that's okay. Do the kale, do the liver, and I don't know, I have to pull out a few more things and see what's in there, see what's in Auntie Shemay's fridge. Might as, whatever's down there, maybe can it up depending on what it is. And get the fridge fixed, and then we'll be getting into making ice cream. That'll be fun. I'm not up for this, but so what we do is we get some stock going, which I might just, I don't know. This is a bone, a ham bone. Now I have split chicken. I'm debating whether I should throw the split chicken in there. The hamburger that I fried up for the lasagna went downstairs, and Marcane will do something with that the next day or two. So I don't have to worry about canning that up. And I don't have time to be making lasagna, that's for sure. So I'm going to see what else I can put in this pot for stock, at least to start with. Okay.
You're gonna build a kingdom there that everybody's gonna be.
See these? Remember when I was making lard? I was rendering pork fat and beef fat, chicken fat. Right? Now I already put some of this in a container for the birds, because the birds will love this. But at least for these 3 bags so far, from what I can tell in there, I'm going to take that hamburger little bit of leftover grease, and I'm going to put these in here, and I'm going to heat them up and cook them up really well, because the majority of the fat lard has been melted off, right? So this is little bits of meat and just whatever, right? So before I give it all to the birds,
food, water,
I decided to
and so on for
try this first
the extended family,
and see what I get.
For my wife and I, but for daughters
and then if I like it after I heat it up and cook it for a little while and just, I don't know, then I may just very well throw it into the stock pot and then just, because it will just add more flavor, right? I'm pretty sure this is what this is.
Say 75%
crackling
conifer, and that is at risk. And if it wasn't for, see, I'm not way up in the boreal forest in the middle of nowhere where these forest fires go on and they're left unchecked.
So I'm just going to heat it up
because it's a natural process.
Stir it around.
Somewhat close to urban centers.
And then
fires are suppressed.
Boil off a bit more of that liquid in there from the hamburger that I put downstairs.
The charged dumps,
and then I'll probably just throw it into that pot, or maybe I'll start,
between 85 and 100
as a matter of fact,
this last fire here.
Maybe I'll just start another pot of stock,
I mean, I can be the one
right? I'll have 2 pots of stock going here, and then one pot will probably end up becoming more like a soup, because I think those split chickens, I'm just going to put them in the bigger pot, and then maybe make a chicken soup with that. And it's got the ham bone in there. And I'll just let it cook all night, right? And buy me some time, and then tomorrow try and can something. It's either that or chuck it all out, right? Because I don't really have anywhere else to put it. And I'm not going to do that, so I'll be back. Okay, for whatever reason, my eyes are real bad today, but like I said, right, it's just, things are getting worse, so anyway.
Click the link right here or here, and you'll see a sign-up page where all you have to do is enter your email, and you'll get instant access.
So that's all that crackling.
Exactly how we're able to buy highly profitable, cash-flowing short-term.
It looks like I found
no matter what's going on
some turkey necks.
These are properties that can
I'm gonna put that in there.
Print out cash flow year after year.
It looks like I found. I asked Andre. I said, "What's that?"
Again, when you sign
I said, "Do you think it's beef?" He goes, "Yeah, maybe." I don't know, Nana. So I'm thinking that's beef. So I'm just gonna put it in that pot with the crackling. Okay.
I've worked with enough people at this point to know for sure and be able to promise you with certainty that this
I'll put a bit of water in there because that crackling sucked up that hamburger juice.
and avoided mistakes. So
Oh yeah.
if you want to learn more about investment in short-term rental properties, then definitely check it out. You can sign up right now using the link on the screen. You deserve well, and you deserve to have your money work for you. I've got the tools to help. It's up to you to make it happen. So again, make sure
we'll just let that unthaw. See what's in there. Okay, hold on a minute.
Okay,
there you go.
Not in a job, working 7 days a week on building of this homestead, and including that cabin.
All right, so Andre
and then,
thinks this is hamburger.
I think. I don't really know.
But it's raw inside.
It looks like it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is hamburger.
So I'm learning as I'm going. So that's how much effort I had to put in to overcome my lack of knowledge and experience and skill.
Feels like hamburger.
So when it took off,
breaks up like hamburger. It's raw right now. I can't eat
it.
Either or, it's some kind of meat. It's either that or pork, but it's too red. So from what I can see, which tells you it's hamburger. So we put that in with the hamburger juice from the hamburger that went downstairs, and then the crackling went in, which could be chicken or beef. And then we put in obviously the hamburger. Do you see this? This is some sort of a hamburger patty that's like pre-packaged. So I'm going to open this up. And I'm going to throw it into this pot. I'm just going to we're going to see what we get, right? And I may just can it up as is after it's all said and done, because it's basically the same meat groups outside of maybe the chicken,
it's not always the case.
There's I think there's a,
people who
what is that called?
Do have an ego.
Paraffin, you know, like a.
In our society, that is something that people are encouraging and endorsing.
Wax paper.
And wanting
between the two of them.
So you're kind
and I found 2 more old turkey necks. So I put them in there.
How do you find peace with
so far 4 turkey necks. Yeah.
I think
so far 4 turkey necks, 1 ham bone in that pot. This one tends to be more like ground meat. You can see, right? Nothing wrong with it. It's frozen. So we're going to take off this, right? Put that in there.
Everything's bothering me, you know.
And we're just going to cook it up and see what we get as I continue to go through what I'm doing.
With the elements, and you're actually.
And I'll probably take that split chicken, there's 2 of them, and put them in the big pot with the turkeys. So hold on a minute. Okay, so there was frozen vegetables in there, so I will end up using that. I found a few, well, I also have those little red tomatoes that I grew from my little grow room there, right? So I might just end up canning those in their own little bag. I'm sorry, they're in a bag right now. In their own little jars, as is, in terms of just canned tomatoes, right? Just whatever. There's not that many, but I can get a few jars out of them, right? Probably can them whole, why not? But I've got some green tomatoes here. You can see. Right, obviously, I guess from whenever, but these are definitely green tomatoes. Right, so I'll probably throw that in with the beef. I have this, I don't know what it is. It's frozen though. Pure pork sausage.
The story of King Arthur is not a happy one.
Oh. And then we've got this natural sausage. So because this is ground meat in here, I figure I'll just cook these up. I'm going to do a Mod Podge with the crackling, the ground meats. You've seen that, right? The hamburger patty. There was one there that I didn't like, so I put it in a separate bag. Okay, and then right, so throw that out in the garbage. And because it's in its own separate bag, by the time it gets to the dump, what do you call it? The birds that fly around there will find it. Right. So I'm just going to take off the plastic on this. Sure miss my eyesight, people. This just makes everything a little harder, that's all.
At the end of his life, his magical sword Excalibur is returned to a goddess in hope. As a prehistorian, these stories sent a shiver
And
of
I'm just,
recognition
I don't know what this is, but it's getting cooked up. I don't know if it's ground pork, what it is.
It's an eerie reminder of the ancient practice of casting the wrong. I have
If it comes out whole, then I'll cut it into
actually
pieces.
pulled from the stone mold.
But for now, it's going in as is.
In my work,
And then after it's all said and
I
done,
have discovered ritual traditions.
I'll probably take one of those bags of frozen vegetables, throw it in there, cook that up, and then that's what I'm going to use to can. So that's going in there. That will defrost.
Ancient British
And then whatever this
find
is.
their way into the story of King
So we got a combination of
centuries later.
pork and beef so far, right? Where I'm doing turkey and chicken on that side.
Just north of the fens, in a region known as the Witham Valley.
And I'm thinking to put the green tomatoes in with the beef and the pork.
In 1985,
Because if I end up making a soup, it would be more like a chicken soup than anything else.
just under the sea,
And I could still put red tomatoes in that if I wanted to.
horizontal timbers were uncovered.
So yeah, this looks to be about the same
It formed part of a raised quarry
kind of thing.
constructed over 2,000 years ago. At either side
So I'm assuming that's ground pork.
found dozens of pieces of ancient
Goes in there.
including a large number of swords and spears.
I'll just put the stuff that's hot
But such objects have been found
more on top. Now there's no seasoning in it, nothing.
They were
So if I really don't like it, after it's all said and done,
scientists who worked to put out
I got it on 2 so it just kind of melts, right?
anybody
The ice, that is.
you come to me.
If I really don't like it after the fact, before I put the vegetables in, then I can can it up for cat food. I'm just saying. Oh, here goes the tomatoes. Andre, I need you to help find these tomatoes. They just fell off the counter before I step on them. Come on. Now this, from what I can tell, Andre,
century. Now this wasn't some localized Finland cult.
there's the container. Watch where you step. Here, pick up the container.
They're still being found
Help me find them.
today.
We've been out here every weekend.
Because they were
since
frozen.
August, and look at how many people have
That's
turned
why.
up.
What are you boiling?
That is turkey necks
No.
and a ham bone so far.
Okay, well, I'm not having that.
Well, that's how you make soup. That's how you start making a broth.
Yeah,
No,
I
I'm
just- I
not.
just-
I'm making a broth in a soup. I'm canning this stuff.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go back and room with
Yeah,
Mark.
well, I'll call you. I think there's more in
We
that. But
found nearly 2,000
I'll look.
separate objects now.
Okay, so I read the label on this one. From what I can tell, it says ground turkey, I think. I can't see with these glasses. I'll have to come back with a different pair of glasses, so hold on. Oh, Lord.
Egyptians had
Okay.
advanced knowledge of the solar system, mathematics,
So,
human anatomy, and even the
what
unseen
that is ground
Take a closer look at
turkey
the
breast.
forest. You'll see that it's
So I'm gonna
actually
put that
a
in
reference
with
to the pineal gland when
the
compared
ham
to our
bone
brain's anatomy. And the reason for this is
and
because this small, pea-sized organ is
the
directly
turkey necks.
responsible for your ability to
Right?
connect to the universe. It's a mystical gateway that, once accessed, opens your third eye and allows you to connect directly with the divine.
because we're making it stop.
Manifest whatever it is you desire directly into your
And
reality,
then,
whether
because
it's
that's
wealth,
that,
love, or even discovering
This-
your true purpose on this earth. You may even
I don't
gain
know.
access to
What is
long-forgotten
this?
hidden psychic abilities that you possess.
fresh split
The rulers and
frying
high priests
chicken.
in ancient Egypt understood
I
this
have 2 of
and
them.
kept this knowledge to themselves to help keep themselves in power.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take them to the sink. I'm going to run off the ice crystals. And even if it's a little freezer burnt, that's okay. Normally I have this stuff vacuum packed, like vacuum sealed and stuff, and it lasts forever, right? Really, I've had beef vacuum sealed
Trust me, this is only the beginning.
in my other freezer
Button below to see what others
that sat there for like 10 years.
But despite the
Vacuum sealed. It was a big roast. Paid $14 for it. Like this thing was like long, right? It was big. Anyway, and then when I did a video on it. And then when you went to go buy it again, it was like double the money, if not a little more than what I paid for it back in that day. But obviously I just bought those and threw them up here for convenience and forgot about them because, you know. So we know we're going to open those up. Get out of here, cat! We know that we're going to open those up and throw them in with the turkey nuts and the ham bone and the ground chicken breast. So hold on. Okay, looking at the labels, that's $16.50 worth of chicken that's been seasoned with peppercorn. Right? That's what you see on it, is peppercorns. Alright. So they go in there. Okay? With the ham bone so far, the turkey wings, 4 of them, the little bit of ground, what is that called? Turkey breast, and now we've got those 2 chickens. We're here, we've got crackling, whether chicken or pork or beef, because I did 3 types of lards. We've got the pork, that's ground, you can see it's, right? We got the hamburger, that was ground. And we got those 2 burgers that were pre-packaged. And then we're just going to keep cooking this up before we put anything else in. Now I've got containers like this. Back in the day, when I did pumpkin, I was steaming it or something, because I think I dehydrated it and made pumpkin powder. Anyway, the juice was really, really good. And I got a couple of those containers over there, to which I will end up probably putting it in with the soup when it comes time to actually do that. Or as soon as it's willing to come out of the container, right? Now I made butter, and I think the whey I froze into jars, but you know, I don't care about that right now. I care about the more expensive stuff, right? And as for the frozen vegetables, it can be distributed between the 2 pots, right? I put the peas in with the soup. I don't know, there's some corn there that can go in with the meats, like the beef and the pork. Now you just count it up, right? And I'll use half pint jars or pint-sized jars, which is only 75 minutes, because, you know. Plus I'm tired and I didn't expect to do this, but from pantry to rummaging, as the troll would say, under my cupboard over here, to clearing out the fridge, getting it ready to make ice cream, and just whatever. Now there is still a few more things in there. I know I have a couple. I'll be back. Okay, I'm trying not to get annoyed here. I didn't plan on doing this any more than I planned on going under my other cupboard to rummage around. So here's what's happening. I'm stirring it around. I'm going to heat it up really well, cook it right through, then take it off the stove and just let it cool for a bit where I can actually stick my hands in there. I already did. Kind of broke up those hamburger patties that were pre-made by a company, right? But I want to make sure, right? So after this is like thoroughly cooked, good to go, which is getting there. Everything's unthawed, broken up. You can hear it, right? Now I put no seasoning in there, and it's a mosh podge between pork and beef, basically ground up, right? And then I'm gonna stick my hands in there, feel around. If those little hamburger patties, any pieces, I was gonna break them up. And then I'm going to add,
So, destruction of
I got shredded carrots here,
one way of doing it. We've got archaeological evidence of
back in the day,
damaged lead
long time.
tablets, some of which
Here's a few more.
for that, which are being cut into pieces and
So I'm going to throw those in there. I'm going to throw this little bag of frozen corn.
just one of many
I'll rinse that off. I'll throw that in there.
destroyed or buried.
I'm going to throw the green onions in there. And then I've got some tomatoes, actually, that were starting to, right? Because I've got from when I was growing them, right?
The charities and uses being
Now I
buried
turned this off.
People are decommissioning
And I
that.
turned it back on. And yeah,
Whoever buried this collection of precious silver must have felt anger and resentment.
my fridge is broken, from what I can tell.
Their beliefs.
I'm going to leave it off for a little. I'm going to try and clear out the line, but I had this problem with this fridge before, and the guy warned me. But anyway, these tomatoes, because I had them out for a little while, they're already starting to unthaw. I have other ones in there that maybe I'll put in a jar and I'll can them up when I'm doing fruit or something, because I've got some fruit. Plus, Andre and we cooked up some fruit last night. So I'm going to cook up more fruit after I can this. And then I'm going to can the fruit. Like this was frozen, for example. I mean, obviously it's a raspberry or something like that. I got a bag of blueberries in there. And just whatever. And then a few miscellaneous jars. I'm just going to throw them all into one pot. Make a, what is that? Berry, whatever. And then I'm going to can them like that. And then we use that for pancakes. Andre likes that kind of stuff for pancakes and whatever, right? Right? So tomatoes, the green tomatoes are going in here. These two little packets of shredded carrots, a little bit of corn. I have not used any kind of seasoning, nothing yet. So I will still season it. As a matter of fact, after it cools down and I break it up, I'll probably throw in some garlic. This is human food. I'm sorry, it costs too much money. So I would think that's fine now. I'm going to take it off the burner because you can hear it sticking to the bottom of the pan here. And then when it cools, I'm going to stick my hand in there because I can't see, right, very well. Can't see. You learn to use your hands more. So I'll feel around, make sure there's no little pieces of plastic maybe I missed when I was doing whatever. I highly doubt it, but sometimes it happens. You never know, even with eyesight, right? And but I'm looking more for the bigger chunks of that manufactured patty that wasn't breaking up as well as everything else. Okay, right. And then I'm going to also add this, which is when I did those pumpkins and I saved the broth. That's what that is. So I'm going to add that in there. I got more. So between the two pots, I'm going to add this in there, right? First we'll start with one and then we'll see how it goes, right? Probably one will be enough for the hamburger, because it's going straight from the pot into the jar with the lid on into the canner pressure for 75 minutes. And short and sweet, right? And then I'll be doing my dance. Right? But, you know, it's getting not that great, right? But that's okay. I can still manage this year. This year! I don't know about next year, but this year. And then I've got more. But this you got to be careful because you crack the jar. And then I got two more over there. So definitely some with the soup, because I'm probably going to end up doing some soup. So before I make the soup, I will probably can a couple of jars, because I've got liver in the fridge down on the bottom. Liver for sure. We've got the kale, which I'll can. As a matter of fact, to be honest with you, I could use this broth, which I might do with the kale. Actually, that would be pretty good. Yeah. So maybe I'll take those other 2 containers, put them back up on the top part of the freezer because it's still pretty cold in there, and just let them sit there. And I'm turning on the freezer, turning on the fridge to see how it's running. All the air is coming up through the top of the freezer, nothing on the bottom. But maybe it hasn't had enough time to unthaw the line, right? I'm trying to unthaw the line. Maybe I'm hoping that something will click. And I had this problem once before.
In between, there are only fragments and stories, a murky historical no.
Either or, I think that's what I'll do. I'll use this one with the hamburger. The other 1 or 2, or yeah, two for the kale, and whatever's left for the chicken soup. But first,
But here lies a crucial paradox. How can a period of dark age barbarism...
yeah, so I'll just cook up the chicken with the broth, however the broth goes, with the miscellaneous vegetables, and that will be it, right? And then I've got liver to do, which I'll probably do tomorrow with the kale. But the kale, I don't think will take 75 minutes. The liver for sure, in a half-pint size jar. Whether this size or this size. They're both half pints.
What really did happen in this mysterious time?
75 minutes for 1 pint, which is, but you know, it's liver, so I don't know whether I fry it up and eat it, bread it and egg it, and after the fact and eat it and whatever, or whether I use it for cats in terms of the liver remains to be seen. I eat liver. I've just never had it canned, but I did can. Remember, I got videos of me doing that, and they're in my room for the most part.
Underneath the medieval city walls, it's possible.
And then the berries, whatever the berries are. Okay, I'm taking an intermission here. And then we're going to just briefly look at a woman that lives in the States who does videos on grocery stores and what's inside them. Right? Her channel's called Moments with Us. And anyway, I clicked it on, right? And she's squeezing a can. So we're just going to follow through with a little bit of that, of what she shows us, because, you know, I know what I pay for things out here. I can say that, and the last time I did the exchange rate, because I bought, what did I buy? I bought a flaker. It's a flaker to grind up, to flatten whole groat oats, right? It looks like a little wheat kernel. You run it through this little thing that you go like, I paid like $250 Canadian, and then I had to pay maybe it came up at 200. I don't know. I paid like $250, $300 for it anyway because of the exchange rate, right? I think it was a little cheaper to buy it in the States, but because I had to pay 40% on the dollar more because of the exchange rate, 40%. That was a year and a half ago or so, maybe 2 years ago. I don't know. It's sitting in my bathroom in a box. I haven't used it yet. What's new? But you put the whole groat oat, which looks like a kernel of wheat, and you grind it, and then it comes out flat as a large flake oat. Only it's better because it's from the actual kernel itself, so it's fresher and it has rights. Okay. So anyway, I don't know what the exchange rate is now. Maybe I should Google it. What is the exchange rate? Because for what I pay for meat out here in British Columbia, Canada, with Canadian dollars, right? So we'll go $1 Canadian, $1 Canadian to USA exchange rate. What are we looking at? A dollar. United States dollar. So 75 cents. So it's dropped. I should be buying that flaker now, eh? Versus 40%. It was 40%. So for every dollar she spends, I have to spend $1.25. Right? If I was to go to the States. Well, if she's paying $10 for meat, and I look at that and I say, well, gee, that's pretty much the same price that I'm paying out here for the same amount of meat, right? I'm paying another $2.50 or so, right? 4 quarters makes $1.08, $2.50. So she's paying $10. I'm paying $12.50 at this point for the same amount of meat in terms of beef and that kind of thing, right? And I look at the prices because she shops at Walmart. I shop at Walmart. And, you know, she shows comparison prices sometimes. Now, the thing about the United States and Canada, when it comes to food shortages, Canada is a little more insulated because our population is smaller, even though it's rising quickly with the immigrants moving in like no tomorrow. All across the country, that is. But many of them like to come to BC, especially the Punjabis and Chinese. And I guess everybody, really, because you got 10,000 Syrians coming in just into Surrey in one pop, as another 10,000 more are coming. And so on and so on and so on, because it's not just the Syrians, right? Now we've got the Ukrainians moving in, 10,000 at a pop, I'm sure. Right. So they need housing, right? They get the first dibs, right? Anyway, so this problem with cans is continent-wide. Yeah, continent-wide. So if you don't know how to can, I highly recommend you learn how to can with the water bath and with the pressure canner. So this struck me funny as soon as I turned on her video.
The regular lid, when you gotta unscrew that, look at this. Look how easy that can. Medication's coming in at it. Even with tomatoes, this is not usual.
We got singing cans right across the nation, people.
I mean, I know we be low
Better than birds.
here in my parts of New Jersey, but
That's too funny. She's a little more jazzier than I am.
hey fam, welcome back to another video. You guys, we're going into Walmart again for our weekly walkthrough like we do every single week. We have Zenobia today.
So yeah, the thing about the United States is their population is a whole lot.
We have Maya today.
Whole lot larger than Canada. 320 million and a few more in terms of legitimate Americans, with probably about 20 million and up of illegal immigrants, with 10,000 flooding the border. I don't know if it's every day or every week or every month. I think it's 10,000 documented illegal immigrants flooding the border every month. But they're and that's just one border in Texas, and there's all kinds of places for these people to come across the border. They like to come in and get apprehended by Border Patrol, because then they get processed and they get housing or transportation, they get money, they get health care, they get everything. Well, we know that a lot of Americans get the streets. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, with their produce here.
Same problem in Canada. Okay, so you can see all those empty bins.
They're messed up. Oh my God. Back down to the sweet potatoes. I do see that they
You can see that.
on sweet potatoes again this week. Sweet potatoes, honestly, in this particular Walmart have been a hit or a miss. Even with their carrots and mushrooms.
Yeah, there's a lot of empty spaces.
Shelf should have at least, yes.
And then, of course, you get your food deserts where, you know, some states within particular communities have it worse to the point where it does really become a food desert. Obviously, higher income neighborhoods, white is right, Chinese is right, Muslims or whatever, or depending on the income, right? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, then yeah, their grocery stores are going to be a little more stocked better because the income is going in that direction, right? In terms of, you know, you're an upper class, middle class neighborhood, whether it's whites, Chinese, a few blacks, you know, some Muslims in there, right? But they're all basically upper class. So yeah, they can go and buy what they want, and if they can't find it, all they have to do is just network to see who has the contact. It's not what you know, it's who you know if you're looking for something, right? When it comes to the larger supply chain, I suppose, disruption.
Been looking fuller. Even with tomatoes, this is not usual. I mean, I know we be low over here in my parts of New Jersey, but this is.
Well, tomatoes out here are kind of like iffy too, even though they have greenhouses that grow their own tomatoes in British Columbia and Canada. But not only are they extremely expensive, but the selection is small.
It's different.
And they run out.
Like, this is really low.
Yeah, we have that problem here too.
Staging done because this part of the bread, there, white bread has been staying on the shelves. But as far as like with the wheat bread and stuff.
Yeah, well, she's just showing us what kind of wheat is available at Walmart in whatever state she lives in. I can't remember at this point. But it's already been stated by other people on YouTube and Bitchute and places like that do videos and talk about this kind of stuff. There is a wheat shortage coming. There is. It's already here. It's just being masked over yet because, you know, the government doesn't want to panic because of the droughts and just, you know, the priority to not plant wheat but to maybe plant soya or whatever, or not plant anything because governments are, you know, buying out the farmers to not plant anything, or farmers are being pushed off the land and corporations like Bill Gates with his foundation or whatever the hell he does in partnership with whoever are buying up farmland, and, you know, they're not so much planting. So yeah, wheat is becoming an issue on the back end of things. You don't see it yet. But when you go into other videos, you start to hear about it more.
Definitely been falling low. Getting some staging done right now. Pulling things to the front, trying to make it look a little more full. The price of whole wheat bread, nature's own, right now. Excuse me. Thank you. Nature's own 100% whole wheat is $3.64.
Okay. So harvest bread, which is, I think, something similar to that, in Canada is, well, I still buy bread yet because I don't have time to make bread, right? Nandi likes bread, so, and every now and then I like my grilled cheese sandwiches. So for something like that, I'm looking at $3.98 up to almost $6 a loaf, depending on the loaf of bread, unless of course I want to pay $2.98 for a white loaf of bread, which I never ever buy. So yeah, usually about $3.98 for a loaf of bread like that, Canadian dollars, which in essence would be, I'd have to pay another $1 on Canadian funds just to buy it there. So it's a little cheaper to buy bread than in that situation in the United States. But this could be maybe if she could look at, do they harvest, it's called, I don't know, I have it, I'll see if I can find the wrapper for it.
I mean, the parking lot is pretty full, but as far as like, where the customers at, where are all the shoppers at? They're not over here. I wonder if they're like in entertainment and clothing, because even in the freezer section,
maybe they don't have money.
Vegetables, Yeah, they're pretty low as well. 98 cents for the frozen bags of peas and carrots. Those things going to be touching over.
And they're building those ugly buildings in her neighborhood too. Yeah. And I doubt they're affordable. Yeah.
$1 soon, just wait. I think they got the mixed vegetables, like the California style vegetables are already $1.16 in my part of New Jersey here.
That's because the building of the buildings is done through a network of overlords, property developers, municipalities, provincial parliaments, and state parliaments on a state or provincial level, through a conglomerate of, well, you know what I want to say, but this is YouTube. If I say the two words in combination of what I'm saying right now, it might get me into trouble.
I mean, the parking lot is pretty full, but as far as...
When the grocery stores get down to half of what's in there in terms of product, what? Is YouTube going to come in onto people's channels and tell them that they can't talk about it because of whatever? I mean, I could see that happening just to prevent the public, the larger public, someone like me sitting miles and thousands of miles away, don't want to see what's coming to my local neighborhood, because you know it's going to be just a matter of time before it catches up to us in Canada. You see, that's where everybody's sleeping at the wheel. Not everybody, but a lot of people in Canada are sleeping at the wheel. They think, oh, it's in the United States. It's not going to happen in Canada. And it will never happen in Canada. It's already here, people. It's hidden a little better, that's all.
It's like, where the customers at? Where are all the shoppers at? They're not over here. I wonder if they're like the entertainment.
I want to see what she's got to say about these cans.
As far as like with the vegetables, yeah, they're pretty low as well. 90.
Okay, so I'll just leave the link because I got to get up and do what I got to do. I'm taking a detour here. A canning detour. Oh, yeah, I didn't expect that, but is that still recording? Yeah. I didn't expect that, but I kind of figured there was something, that fridge was getting funky on me. It's okay, though, because I had a problem. I needed to clear out the top so that we could make ice cream. I needed to make a bit more room on the bottom so that we could do, what is that called? Sourdough bread. And, you know, sometimes when you do sourdough, quiet! Sometimes when you do sourdough bread, you put it in the fridge and you let it sit overnight to proof it or something, and it makes better bread, right? So, but I have like jars in there with fermented carrots or whatever. I've got a fair amount of lard when I was doing the lard, and so it's not, you know, and so anyway, it gives me an opportunity to clean out the bottom, clean out the top for sure, so that after it's all said and done, because, you know, the problem is, well, how can I make ice cream if right? How can I make bread if, but now that I'm clearing everything out, well, guess what, Andre? It won't be long before we're making ice cream. I'm looking so forward to it. But then I create, so you have a problem, you solve the problem, but by solving the problem, you create another problem. By solving the problem, everything is, you know, I have to get the fridge fixed, right? Initially the fridge broke, so it's either throw the food out or recycle the food. In this case, I'm recanning, so I'm solving that problem. But as I'm solving that problem, I'm creating another problem, because now I'm going to have all these jars of food that I don't necessarily know where I can put them right now at this point in life. But you just work around it. That's what you do, right? And what I've cooked up so far with that beef and pork and those cracklins smells pretty good, and I haven't even spiced it up yet. The cracklins I was just going to use like if I made rice or put it in a crock pot or whatever. So I always intended to use it. I never intended to do it this way, but you know, when you're, you know, you can it up in a, depending on the size you want, right? I'll probably do pint size, 75 minutes, because that will be enough for one meal for us upstairs with some rice, you know. And then the soups I'll probably do in, I might do quart size, which would be 90 minutes. I don't like doing 90 minutes. It's long and arduous to stand in front of a pressure canner for 90 minutes, but after it's all said and done, it's worth it. Yeah. Especially when the cans make music, in terms of metal can. Right? And it doesn't cost me anything. I already have the jars here. I have them stacked up over there. So it's just a matter of investing a couple, 2-3 days. So what's going to happen is, once I'm done this, go back. The pot should be cool enough where I can stick my hands in there, feel around, break up anything that needs to be broken up. And then I'm going to spice it up with some seasoning salt. Probably just a little bit of seasoning salt. I don't think I'm going to put no garlic, because you can put the garlic in after you open the jar. You can always put in garlic then. But definitely some seasoning salt, or just plain old salt, right? Put some tomatoes in there. Put the carrots in there. So I'm going to put the corn in there, the carrots in there, the green tomatoes in there, probably that one little thing of red tomatoes, definitely some salt. Oh yeah, and I had a couple, I have, you know, when you buy fresh herbs, right? Bought some, whatever, folded it up, put it in a little bag, had it in the freezer, so I'll take half of that, I'll chop them up, put them in there, right? There's two different kind. I think one is dill, and I'm assuming the other one is something, like maybe a parsley or something, I don't know. And I'm just going to jar that up. Ideally, it would be good to jar that up at the same time when I do the liver. Yeah. Because then I can do it all at one time, like the meat. Because what's in the fridge is just basically liver now. And maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll keep that pot on low. Keep it warm, just add a bit. And I'm also putting in the pumpkin broth. So that will give me a bit of broth, right? So I can put it on low and just keep it simmering on low, where not too much is evaporating, with the lid on it. And bring out the liver and put it in the air. And because it's liver, and plus I've got this tray from back in the day where you put your frozen food on top of it, right? And it helps to speed up the defrost process. I'll do that. Now, and then I'll can the liver in their own jars, as well as the hamburger by tonight, 75 minutes. And then tomorrow, and then after that's done, I might even do the fruit tonight. Because unless I put the, yeah, I don't know. I might, if I don't do the fruit after the meat, because I only have so much stove space, right? I can always deal with it tomorrow. I don't know. It really should be done today. I'm just going to make a Mary Berry. Cook it up. Okay. I can wash my jars, put them in the oven at 250, leave them in there for a half an hour. And then when you go to put them in the water bath, it's only like 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes for a half a pint. And that's what I do. So I might even be doing that tonight at 11 o'clock tonight, if I just get back to the good old days, you know, right? just back to back. Okay, she's going into the meat section. Now you know why I'm doing what I'm doing here, people, because it's the same problem out here too, right?
Wow, I haven't checked out how much like these ribs and stuff cost lately. They got the beef brisket here coming in at $50.61.
Yeah, it's kind of like that out here too. Yeah.
Wow. Let me see. Am I tripping? They got the smaller ones here.
Yeah, look how small that is.
What is this? $3.94 a pound. Okay.
$3.94. You're not going to find no beef out here for $3.94 a pound. I can tell you that right now. But then you add on the exchange rate and it, you know, tax on a little more, right?
They got just a whole, they're pretty good on some of their beef items. Let's check out their steak. Their steak is usually expensive. Just bone in, T-bone steak. Oh my God, I saw something about the steak, beef in general, guys. I'm going.
T-bone steak. Look how small that is. One T-bone steak is $16.47. Well, I don't know how much a T-bone steak is out here, but I would assume it's either the same amount of money, regardless of where you go, in terms of what grocery store, but probably a little more expensive. Yeah.
I'll share that in the next video with you guys. This is $12.97 a pound here.
Yeah.
Yeah, coming in at $16.47.
$12.97 a pound for something like that. Well, they go up pretty damn high in terms of like $13 and up, right? $13 a pound for cheap meat. The better the meat, the more expensive it is. But the poverty level is lower at this point in Canada because of the numbers of, you know, the overall population of Canada. Last time I checked, it was 36 million, but it's probably pushing at 38, 39 million now because of the immigrants coming in. Right, en masse, that is. Right. But don't forget, we got a lot of people dying out here too. So the immigrants just kind of mask over the death rate between the elderly, the young people, like Shimei's age group, that are falling through the cracks because cops don't like to do their job and government doesn't give a rat's ass because all they have to do is put the call out to some developing country or India or anywhere for that matter and have 1 million cross into Canada and fill the gap. Yeah.
And the price of the ground beef, it did jump a little bit.
That's what I'm doing right now, right?
$11.97, $16.97 for their. I know it was $16 to change. They had this thing on rollback, I think last week, and it is already $16.97 for the, what's that, the 5 pound. It was never an actual rollback. It is $12.98 for their 4 pound of their party.
So yeah, I'll just add the link if you want to watch it. Hold on a minute. I'm still sitting here watching her. Now she's going to talk on about canned meat. Now, the difference between Canada and the United States is they get more canned meat out there in terms of selection than what we get here in Canada. There is a Keystone Meats, that's a brand that's in the United States of America, that cans just beef by itself. I guess it's just like a roast of some kind, like chunks of beef. Like I would home can beef, right? We don't have access to that. What we have when it comes to beef is corned beef and nothing but corned beef. That's our only choice when it comes to, unless of course we want to go into a beef stew that's pre-made, that usually is made in the United States, that comes in as a ready-made meal, right? Which there's one brand that I don't mind, although I don't like necessarily chunky soup because of there's some of the ingredients in there I would prefer not to be in there. And of course, they put more vegetables than meat. They just fool you with the word beef stew versus the brand that I do buy. You know, the meat is okay. It's more like a hamburger, but it has less, I guess you can say, preservatives in it. All right, and it tastes good. But other than that, I have to can my own beef in my own jars in order to be able to have just beef, right?
Stressing it about the canned meat because the canned meat have been falling short on the shelves in a lot of stores. So let me show you guys what it looked like this week in this Walmart. Definitely, yes, guys. So the canned meat this week also is starting to look lower and lower.
Yeah, but you have to understand or remember or be aware that the cans that they're using now are not shelf stable. You see, that's the thing. They're compromised. I do not believe will be able to hold up to the test of time. And compared to cans that were made in 2014 right up into maybe 2020. And even then, I'd question the 20s. Because these corporations that do this shit, they know in advance what they're going to be doing, okay? If I want my meat in a Mylar bag, I would order it in a Mylar bag, okay? And if it's going to be in liquid in a Mylar bag, or those containers that, juices come in, those plastic, or those, I don't know what kind carton, those cartons like I showed you with my last video with that coconut cream. I don't want my meat in that, people. And I sure in the hell don't want it in a freaking Mylar bag. And I sure in the heck would not, and I can guarantee it, store it for long term. Okay? In a Mylar bag, or in a container that's lined with a Mylar bag with a little bit of cardboard with some plastic over it on the outside. Andre opens up the Minute Maid juice containers with the mango and peach drink inside with those little white twist caps. He twists off and the whole thing pops off. And you got a big gaping hole. It only takes a pinprick to contaminate food. Just a pin prick. And because you're dealing with plastics and that kind of crap, technically, you could get the pin, like in terms of those carton containers, right? Where they put their chicken broth and all that crap in, right? That they sell these days, right? Technically, it could be pricked with a pin, and then rubbed over with that plastic to seal the hole, the little pinprick hole. But once you prick it, the air gets in, it contaminates the food, and you want to you rub it in, and you like a wax. It's like a wax on the outside of the container to plug up the freaking hole. I mean, that's all it takes, people. That's all it takes. Like, seriously, to contaminate the food. And these cans that are buckling, like, seriously, man. Like,
and lower. I don't know if more people are stocking up on canned meat just because the price of meat in general is just...
Yeah, well, they're going to get a rude freaking awakening in about 4 or 5 years from now if they put it in long-term storage and find out that who knows what they're going to find. I can't even tell you myself what I'm going to find. All I know is the next time I buy clams, if I ever buy clams again, I'm going to make sure I have a box of jars and I'm going to recant them before I put them away for any length of time. Mm-hmm.
Just so high, or is it just unavailable?
And a lot of this stuff, I would avoid buying altogether. Before I'd buy, from this point forward, knowing what I know now, I'd rather buy whatever, fish, meat, chicken, turkey, whatever, fresh, and then can it myself and take my chances with my jars. Out of 12 jars, if I lose 1 or 2 jars over a 10-year period, based on statistics, and even then, you might not lose any depending on where you store those jars. I'd rather those chances than take my chances with what they're selling now in the grocery store continental-wide. Right? Hey, USA. Hey, Canada. We're in the same frickin' boat. Yeah, because it's a conspiracy, that's why. They want to bring in their Mylar pouches. Yeah, and overcharge you for it as they phase in their artificial meat.
Because it's probably not just the product itself. It could be the packaging. So the can, this aluminum could be falling short in supply still. Just never know.
No, that's just an excuse. That's just an excuse for negligence and not being held to account.
Items now have this pop lid. If you guys didn't notice that versus, you know, the regular lid where you got to unscrew that. Look at this.
Yeah, they're bringing it into almost all the cans now. And those are not designed to last for a long time, because around the seam is the weakest point, the seam where, you know, you pull, right, it pops off. It just takes a little spider to run by, catch some prey, leave the remnants behind, a little moisture, whatever, a piece of dust, right? And then there's high humidity in the house, and that little dust will start the rust process, and that's it. And because that's so weak there in terms of the seal, the rim, right around, you know. But I showed you a remedy for that if you wanted to, in terms of taking some acrylic paint or nail polish and going around it if you're trying to store for long term. But even if you did that, the cans themselves, in terms of this part of the can, they're useless. Completely useless. They're only made for temporary purposes. Nothing past 2 or 3, 4 years. No.
Look how easy.
I don't think so.
See, that can is going in. So it's like we just have to be careful.
Careful with what? You buy them not like that. You bring them home. You, like I said, leave them on the floor for a few days because you haven't had a chance to put them away. You start pulling them out of the bag, and half of them are buckled on you. More than one spot. And some of these buckles are really pronounced. They're like what's made, right? That's not good, people.
Yeah, definitely so.
So I don't mind doing what I'm doing today. I really don't. Solve a problem, right? My fridge broke, and I'm creating another problem, but at the end of the day, I don't have to buy no freaking meat. No. I can go from freezer to freezer and freezer and have meat to last me for 10 fucking years, if not more. Okay, and that's every night eating meat, if I wanted to. And that's including my store-bought canned goods.
These went up to $1.50 for the great value packs of chicken here. Wow, these been $7.49. They got it on rollback right now for the plant-based meat here for $6.73.
Plant-based meat.
Even like Vienna sausages, certain chilies. Look how much that's running.
So easy to make chili and can it for yourself. It really, really is. As a matter of fact, I got some downstairs, and I got a few jars still kicking around in my room.
This don't really look too good. And as we go down even to the oil aisle, wow, this is crazy. Look at things like shortening 518 for £2. This stuff is probably no good for you, but it's still great to have in your stockpile. The canned oil, the spray there. Crisco is coming in at $7.68. Also, I believe that's like £2 as well.
Oh, I think those things sell out here for $9 or $10 a pop. I did buy some Crisco from Walmart with a rollback at $3 for a pound. I bought like 10 of them just to have them handy when I start cooking with Andre. But I've got tons of pork lard when I was rendering pork, and you can see I put my crackling in with the hamburger, and then I've got tons of tallow, which is beef lard, in the freezer, right? And then of course we've got the crackling now in with the hamburger, which I'm gonna, can up here very soon. And I have another freezer with crackling and all that if I want it bad enough.
Oh, this is £3. Okay. And then
those will sit for a long time in food stores. As a matter of fact, I got some of those still sitting downstairs in that area where I can't get to, where Auntie Shamay's piano is. And if I was to open them up, they'd still be okay, right? I'm pretty sure, but they've never been opened. You see, that's the thing. But that's not even, this right here, this is shortening, this is lard. This isn't even real I mean, it is to some degree, but not like if you render it yourself from actual animal fat. There is a big difference.
The butter flavor, 3 pounds, $7.68. But the oil is even low. There's no gallons of the grape.
I just stocked up on a whole bunch of olive oil, whether in dark glass 1 liter bottles. I did the 3 liter cans, stocked up on a few of those, and I got some, avocado oil. And I put them in my room in a very dark, cool place close to the floor. And I'm just going to take my chances with them. Because I've had bottles of unopened olive oil for several years. Open them up and they're perfectly fine. So it's when you're opening and you let the air in, opening, close. That's where the problem is. But if you buy and you put it away, out of sight, out of mind, in the dark, very cool, chances are they'll hold up for quite a long time.
Value vegetable oil. So they do have their organic coconut here at $9.42 for the Better Body Foods. Avocado oil is.
I have a lot of coconut oil, coconut butter
42,
in buckets.
But this is for this one here, the chosen one.
Unopened.
Different oils. Definitely do your research, depending on whatever it is that you come up with. And if you're trying to find out the health benefits of the certain oils you want to stockpile, definitely look and see how long certain oils are shelf stable for.
But take that with a grain of salt. Take it with a grain of salt. When I bought the extra olive oil, I wasn't too concerned about it because I opened up a bottle of olive oil that's been sitting around for years and it was perfectly fine. And even an open bottle of olive oil is still fine after a long time of being opened and then tucked away in a cool, dark place.
Before going like rancid.
Hey there, this is Doc.
And if it goes rancid, well, that's a problem, right? But there's a solution to that. You can use it for lanterns. Homemade lanterns. With a wick. For lighting. I'm just saying. So even if it goes rancid, I wouldn't throw it out. You can either do a little craft project with it in terms of, oh kids, we're going to make some lanterns and, you know, whatever. And I don't know if you can put them up in, you know, the actual lantern. You might be able to.
I'm pretty sure.
It's just, they get sometimes a little smoky. So if you were to use old oil that, whatever reason, is rancid, before you throw it out, honestly, I'd save it for a rainy day in case the hydro goes out and you don't know when it's coming back on. And it can be used for lighting. After this is all said and done, there will be a day when I'll make... I bought glass cutters, right, to cut glass, bottles. I have, right? I just haven't had a chance to do it yet. So we'll be cutting bottles and whatever, and jars, and we'll be making little lanterns using old cooking oil. Right? You know, but this is where people assume nothing bad will happen until it fucking happens. And then before they'll help themselves, they'll go rob from somebody else, a lot of people. Right? As they ridiculed everybody in the past for doing stuff like that. I'm just saying, right? Oh, I'm burning out. I can't burn out here. I gotta get up on it. Okay, so this pumpkin juice is actually very sweet. Yeah, I just tasted it. This one won't pour out yet. But that's okay. And I still got a couple more. So, depending on what's going on here. So I've got the carrots in here, the shredded carrots. Okay? I got the green onion, the green tomatoes. There wasn't that many, right? And we've got the pork and the beef. Now it's fairly fatty in there, so by the time I'm done doing this and canning it, I'm probably going to get a fair amount of grease on top of the jar. And remember what I said about that likes to crawl. However, I think this time I'm going to go probably 1 1/4 inch on the head space. Yeah, in light of what's going on, right? I'll take my chances because it's tasty. And this is just something that, you know, I'm going to do pint-sized jars. I do have, I'm pretty sure I have wide mouth, which I would use for this situation. And the liver I'm doing in half pints, and then that's tomorrow though, right? Now I'm turning my fridge on, turning it off, turning my fridge on, and I'm hoping that whatever it is, maybe okay, we know that. All right. And then I've got some whole kernel corn here in the bag, and I've got some peas, and then I got another bag in there with mixed vegetables. Oh, yeah. So I'm going to rinse these off. Now I don't necessarily like canning frozen vegetables. Just I don't like the result of it, but it, you know, in this situation, it's okay. I'm not wasting it. So I will rinse those off before I put them in the pot, and then I will heat everything up, bring it to a good boil. I'm going to probably end up using another container full of this pumpkin broth, right? Because I'm going to make it a little soupy, because you want the heat to travel through the jar. This is I don't know what it is. Something. Okay, this is dill, so I'm going to use some of that in with that, and then these other leaves.
The day after Micron reported, and I know in the pre-market Micron was down, investors can easily see that and think that the report was something that it wasn't.
It's a form of a parsley. Yeah. So I'm going to chop that up and put it in there, and I'm going to take that and put it in between the two of them. Now the parsley is very bitey, so got to be careful how much you use. But I can always take some of that parsley, and when I do the kale, which I have it up on top, I think, in the freezer, I can mix that in with the kale. So I'm not even wasting that. That will be good. Right? But first, so I'm going to mix this all up, probably add in some more broth, and then wash my jars, clear off my little workspace here, and I'm going to can my first batch of this. While that over there, with the turkey and the chicken and the ham bone, will basically end up cooking all night long with a lid on. And I'll deal with that tomorrow. And then depending... See? I ate that parsley. Now my throat is going like this. Because it's got a really strong little parsley bite to it. Depending on how long this takes, it's 4:21 now. I still might do that Mary berry. Right?
Kids are so smart. They catch on so fast. I told mine.
And like I could cook it, honestly, and put it on the upper top of the deep freeze where it's colder and things are still kind of frozen in there. Because I don't know if I can get my bottom part to work. After it cools, put it up there and just leave it for the night and start fresh in the morning. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so I probably should have degreased it before I put the vegetables in, because when I tasted this, you have to remember, I fried that initial hamburger, sent the hamburger downstairs after I kind of left the grease behind, and then I started frying everything in the hamburger grease that was frozen. And of course we had those sausages which leached out grease. Right, but that's okay. So what happened was I ended up tasting this. Now I put the tomatoes in there, everything, right? I ended up tasting this. And now mind you, when I can it, the grease will come to the surface, But I think, wandering eye. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to let the, actually, I bought this little thing. Hold on a minute. It's fatty. I can taste it. Whereas if I just eat this, that's draining now. In terms of the mosh podge of meats and cracklings and everything else, right? It tastes like meat. And I already got some corn in there. I got the peas in here, but I don't know, I had more corn, but I think I'm going to put that, all the corn into this. I only put half of what was there, just a piece of it or something. But I think I'm going to go find it. I'm going to put the rest of it in it, right? Because I got a bag of frozen vegetables on the top fridge. I mean, in the freezer part of the fridge. So I'll use that for the soup. Whatever. And just use all the corn in here. So when I take the liquid out of the meat, and the, right, where's the spoon? My eyes are bad today. Where am I? I guess that's it. I'm getting a lot of glare. Yeah. Right. I'll eat this now.
To rectify the mistakes of 19th century restorations.
It's alright. This would be good for shepherd pie. Oh yeah. So, and I put a little bit of dill in there, and a little bit of that parsley.
In the huge entrance hall stood her statue.
But I have this little degreaser, you know, I'll show you. Just hold on. Maybe this is a good time to try it. Hold on. God. People are talking about hair something. Our hair. In bread in the grocery stores now.
Tactics, emotional street level engagement, and viral potential converge. These guys are getting crazy.
This is supposed to be a little degreaser or something.
And to getting you guys to react. It's no longer about this is the best stuff, sourced from the best stuff, clean, organic.
I don't even know if it's working.
Because quite frankly, people don't buy that crap anymore. They know it's all manipulated. By the way, in the store that we're associated with, that's out there hands down. The real stuff that hasn't been contaminated by anything. Real quick, we're not talking about
the fridge is the best.
Slab marketing, hiding in the bushes here. They're more along the lines of unconventional, offbeat, and downright cheeky strategies that make traditional marketing look like a snooze fest. Careful and watch for these new tactics. Picture this: instead of flashy billboards and pricey TV ads, guerrilla marketing ambushes your
Seriously, I'd be better just to put this in the freezer.
This part of the art of surprise. The ninja of marketing.
Let it cool fast and the grease will come to the surface and then just scrape it off.
That lasts longer than your morning coffee. Cheeky, witty, and creative.
I don't know how much grease is in here.
And don't get entrapped by guerrilla marketing over artistry.
This doesn't seem to be working very good.
How about what's going on with the Goliath? I know there's some things out there that just aren't readily available. We can't go support local, such as anything like cars. Chances are the only option you got is made in China.
Hold on.
But when it comes to easy shopping,
okay, so this is definitely harder when you can't see very well.
Multi-billion-dollar companies.
They're definitely harder.
In my opinion, because in my early years,
I liked it better when I could see. Now I found in those bags that whatever, this is sliced meat. So I'm going to cut them into little pieces, and then I'm going to throw them into this pot that's currently empty because I drained that Mod Podge of miscellaneous meats, peas, whatever, okay? And I put it in a glass bowl because that little thing didn't work. At least not right now. And I got the glass bowl in the freezer and I turned the freezer back on.
over and over.
I'm going to run it for about 5 minutes just because all the air is coming up into the freezer. And I don't feel nothing down below very much. Very little.
Every time people chase
So whatever.
the Nvidias, the Metas, the Googles of these booms.
It's like those cans. Yeah, that's what it is. You used to be able to buy fridges that would last for a long time. Same thing with the old freezers, right? The old freezers last 50 years. Yeah, not anymore. You buy a freezer, you'll be lucky if the compressor doesn't blow out within a month. I mean, I'm sorry, within a year. And once the compressors on the freezers go, that's it, they're done. And then, you know, to be told that fridges only last 6 years now, like a new fridge, be prepared to buy a new fridge every 6 years, like, what the hell? And like, my landlady, there was, no. When I moved in, I had a leaky fridge. Let's just put it that way. But I already had my own fridges. Well, I had my own fridge. So that leaky fridge went downstairs and never got fixed. And then eventually I bought myself another fridge. And then the fridge I had upstairs, I moved it downstairs and that leaky fridge disappeared. It was gone. And she told me, take it as is. You want, you buy. The stove breaks, you buy. You buy for yourself. But the washing machine and the dryer downstairs, well, my son's been fixing the dryer. He even did some work on the washing machine. But he's been changing the elements and stuff on the dryer because, you know, it's just an argument, right?
Don't forget your purpose in life.
So he's been making an effort. Okay, so this here,
I'm not saying that you're not going to
but I don't want to buy a fridge every 6 years. It's too hard to move things. You know, it's like, anyway. This here, I tasted it. It's okay. I don't know if I like it, though. For what it's worth. And that one I think I might just put outside for the animals. I don't really like that one, so I'm not going to... That's what I'm trying to avoid in terms of the fatty taste in the liquid. So I'm not using that one. No. Okay, I'm tired. Seriously. So I degreased it. I strained it. I took the juice, put it in a glass bowl. I put it in the freezer, turned on the fridge, because I've been turning it on and off. And then, anyway, the grease came, skimmed it off, put it in there because the broth, what was left, was okay, right, in terms of, you know, it wasn't real beefy, but... And then, as for the pumpkin broth, I put another frozen one in there, right? And then there's another one there that didn't completely unthaw. Okay? And now I'm taking this and I'm putting it in the fridge. It's somewhat cold in there. Somewhat cold in there. And the fridge is running, but all the air is shooting into the freezer compartment. And it's already accumulating icicles. It hasn't even been on for an hour. So I'm going to have to at some point, I don't know, I don't really have the money right now. I don't want to borrow money to pay for the fridge. Anyway, this is some plums that I did a long time ago. It was in the fridge. It's somewhat cold. I took it out for now. So I don't think, I mean, I had this problem before, right? So what it does is it gives me an opportunity to clear everything out. And I will do that more tomorrow. Tisha's coming over tomorrow, and she can scoop up on some of those plastic animals, a couple of children's hats. I gave her a...
Their banking is taken if they... I just use that as one example of why it's the same lunacy. And it was the same number calculated, according to the currency, to come out as $53,000
whether you're in New Zealand, France, the U.S., everywhere. 53,000 to murder. In the UK, 6 months before COVID was released, they bought the biggest stockpile, times 20-something times, of...
She's asking me for children's books. Because she's reading to the kids, right? I can't read! It's all your fault! Right, teacher? That's why you can read everything on your cell phone. That's why you can read things when you want to read it on the computer. And that's why you can read children's books. You just can't read, right? Okay. Anyway. These are actually collector books. I don't even know if she'll take them. I told her I had a set of these. I've got 2 sets. These ones are the older models, but if you look at the books, they're like brand new, right? I don't think anyone's ever looked at them. I bought this set at Value Village one time. I mean, look at that. You can't get any newer than that. And I have the ones when Brooks was born. Childcraft, same company. I think it's Childcraft. When Brooks was born, and he was born in '84, so in around that time period, they're blue, and they have a few more books outside of. There's 16 of these, and then the parent guide, where the other one has a few more books, for whatever reason, and a reference guide. But I'm not giving her that one because I don't even know if she'll like this one. But, you know, I've got tons around. So I told her I'd pull these out, and they're nice. They'll stack nice, so, you know, you can see. Black biscuits and blue lemonade. They got Make and Do, and so she's gonna come, and hopefully she'll take these books. A few other things. There's these little you know, when you have a mold and you take plaster and you wet it. I was having problems with my burner too, turning it on and off, on and off. I had to pull the pot off, jiggle it around. I think it's working now. I gotta get this cooking just for the night.
The coast 50 miles, 24 hours a day. He's got all sorts of incredible stuff.
If it's not the fridge, it's the stove, right? Anyway,
They're getting ready to
so
release all this, and they just wanted to do a test those so the next time we stay in our houses and watch Netflix while we die. Okay, so
and then yeah, these little ABCs molds with the plaster in it, so she can make little magnets or something. She'll just have to buy the magnet, I think. If she wants to take it, she can take it. I'm trying to see what company it is. I'm pretty sure it's Childcraft. Something like that. Oh, my nose is starting to run.
When 5-6 billion of us get wiped out there in
Because of this crap.
nobody's going to be safe. Nuclear reactors are going to go down. Big wars are going to start.
Mucking with the fridge.
Pakistan, India, they're going to go to war.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want...
I can't really see the print.
Then you'll know what to do to the globalists. At least at that point, they'll be done.
Yeah, Childcraft. This one is what year copyright? What's the copyright year?
I'd say about a 60% chance if you don't get serious and take action.
No, if she doesn't take them, I just sell them.
In 6 months.
Right.
Now, I intend to stop it.
And I have the other set that
You'll help. I told you in August they were going to roll COVID stuff out. They tried.
1993.
Watch, they'll try it again
Oh.
now. Cities all over the country, first set hospitals, now they're saying cities.
So I guess this was done in 1993, but I think the set that I have is older than 1993. 1985. Portions of the text and certain illustrations previously published under the title Childcraft. The How and Why Library, copyright 1985, World Book in Court. Yeah, 1985. And the ones that I have are probably 1985. Hold on a minute.
You don't have to believe me. These are morbidity statistics. These are the best there are. Every country that took these shots, depending on the percentage that took it, you'll see that exact number of dead correlated. So if this country, 60% took it, and you can pick another country where 60% took it, and then you have this massive increase in death. And then you look at another country where only 6% took it, and there's basically almost no death.
No. Boost.
So
Boost to go slow. Boost to go slow.
It's countries that didn't take these shots didn't have anything happen. So the 17 million are in Europe, Canada, the UK, the United States, Australia, New Zealand, and then other countries like Singapore and things that also followed it. So I'm sorry this is the truth. And I'm going to go over all the documents and play the clips and show you all this. And you can go to the national numbers of your country. And you can see for yourself. So they did this. Bill Gates, Klaus Schwab,
These ones.
they did this. The globalists did this, okay? I'm going to explain it to you.
Inventors
I know,
and inventions.
I know you want to believe we made it through this because we're designed as
That's
winners,
what I bought
not to be victims.
Brooks when he was little.
Just move through it. But
That's how it all started.
the test site, I'll use an
When it came to these kind of books.
hypothetical.
And then the kids went through them. They kind of trashed some. And then in my travels through Value Village, I managed to replace a few of them. So I pretty much got a full set that's in pretty good condition. Right? Well, it's got copyright 1993 here too, but I didn't buy these in 93. I bought them in 85. Or maybe that was the last time it was copyrighted. Yeah.
So the asteroids are loaded right now in our head.
Because I remember buying them for Brooks.
They've let people in on it.
And Brooks was born in 84.
William Shatner.
Oh, wait a minute.
Then they tell you, oh, the new virus is coming because of global warming. That's what's going to happen.
Maybe I bought them after Mark Cain was born in 1992. Mark Cain was born in 92. These were copyrighted. Here it says 1993 as well. But I don't know how that can be.
You've seen it all. This is a cult, folks, and they really get off on all this.
Right.
But you know, the only reason they haven't done it is because they don't control Russia.
I don't know.
And if this gets released, there'll be a nuclear
So
war.
hard to see.
But the globalists are so sick and so twisted, and they
Well, maybe I got these in 92 when Mark Cain was basically born. 92, 93.
They're going to do it. So, Boston from the system thinks you're infrastructure, you're all dead.
It has to be
And we're not going to kill you.
either or.
You're worthless.
We'll just say 92, 93, 93.
But you better find God,
So,
and you better
what,
get it
30
straight.
years old?
A lot of you aren't going to listen now.
Yeah.
You'll be listening when
At
you're
least
all
30
dying.
years old.
And then they'll get defeated.
Right.
I'm thinking way out in case we can't stop them.